got this shit knocking though.
Continue the build on the Saab 9.5. So let me show you what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna install this TD04hl-19T GTX build that I did myself. You can see it in previous videos. So it has been rebuilt with a billet machined compressor wheel. And it also has the short neck compressor housing for the King Cobra intake pipe. This is massive, and I have ported it so it allows more airflow, and also in this end here. And the turbo is going to be installed with this braided lines, which is nice. And I have modified an original exhaust manifold. This has also been ported to match the turbo, and it has been wrapped with some exhaust wrap. We have a new upgraded fuel pressure regulator, 3.7 bars, and we have some 875cc Siemens Deka fuel injectors. This is important to get the real deal and not Chinese copy. So if this wasn't enough, we're also going to be welding an 3-inch downpipe with a race cat and V-band connections, and that's also going to be wrapped with some exhaust wrap. And for those of you who is new to the channel, this is the car we're going to be installing this on. And I also have a tune to go along with the hardware that we're installing. So we're going to have a GDMperformance tune, which will upgrade the car to around 350-360 horsepower and 470 Newton meters of torque. So this is going to be quite exciting. This is the engine bay as it looks like today. So we're going to be removing the original downpipe, turbo, exhaust manifold. So let's get started. Now I have everything removed. The exhaust manifold is off. The turbo is off. So let's do some before and after shots. This is the downpipe, original downpipe. You can see it just why it doesn't flow that well. I think it's one cat and the second cat, and the piping is pretty bent all the way and tiny. Compare this to the 3-inch pipe. Just have a look side by side. Quite a difference. That would be a nice upgrade. And here we have the exhaust manifold, the one that I have ported a bit. This is the original. You can see in the inlet, the OEM one has round inlet, and mine is pretty open. And here we have the original GT17 turbo, which is teeny tiny against this 19T. And also here the exhaust housing has a much bigger inlet than this one. And the exhaust housing on this one, I have welded a V-bend and also made it quite bigger. And we have the intake pipes. The Cobra is quite nice, fully polished, but the King Cobra is just so much bigger. So now I have installed the exhaust manifold and started to install the turbo and the steel braided lines. I don't know if I'm stupid or I'm just messing things up, but I think I have sorted it out now. So I think we will mount the turbo here and attach the lines. So I'm trying to mount this King Cobra, but as you can see it's really tight fit. Doesn't really get down. This pipe in the back is stopping it, and some of the west gate, so I'm gonna try to grind away these small tabs that's on the side and grind away some of the material on the back side or on the sides of the Cobra, and then try again.
Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Real live, real live shit. Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Bouncing your whip with that real live shit. Real live, real live shit.
Okay, so I have been grinding and test fitting and grinding and test fitting, and see where the marks has been on the Cobra, and grinding some more and test fitting and grinding. So here's the final result. I also have been grinding just a little bit on this pipe, just a little bit on this edge, a little bit on this fitting. Now it sits perfect, but it's so tight. I thought that this would just be a walk in the park, just lower it down and tighten it up, but so wasn't the case. But now it's in place at least, so let's continue the build.
No stopping, no stopping, no stopping, no stopping. 4 o'clock and I'm still rocking. Yes, 4 o'clock and I'm still rocking. 4 o'clock and I'm still rocking. No stopping, no stopping, no stopping, no stopping.
So now all the fluids are filled again, the engine coolant and the oil. Everything about the turbo is attached, and that's finished. Came out really good. So now we're about to start the downpipe build. So I have attached the V-band flange and tighten it down. The most important thing when you start this build is to tighten down the clamp like it should be when it's finished and complete, so you get all the angles correct. So as you see now, we're gonna start with the first band, and the gearbox is in the way, so we have to do a little bit of an angle back to start with. So this is one of the most annoying parts about this build. You have to measure and cut and take it to the engine, test fit it. If it fits, then tack weld it, and then to the next piece, and same again, measure, test fit, cut again, maybe cut a couple of times. So this is very much back and forth all the time, so you get the correct angles and all the bends. So I'm using a very thin cutting disc. It's a 1mm disc to get as nice cuts and exact cuts as possible. So let's get started. So this was the first cut I made, and it came out pretty good, I would say. A little bit of play to the gearbox and not too close to the pressure pipe. So now it's just to measure the next part, but before we tack weld it to the V-band flange, we need to shorten it a bit so the next bend come in perfect. And when I made a downpipe, my first downpipe, I didn't calculate with the height of the downpipe, so I made it go through this tunnel pretty perfect, and when I lowered the car, the downpipe was like almost touching the ground. So a tip is to build as tight as possible to the oil pan. then it will be perfect. Okay, so now I have measured out every piece and tacked it on with just small tacks all the way. It should be really easy to remove them or to adjust the welding and the downpipe if it's not correct, but I have tacked it on and measured everything. Even got the bracket tack welded on the side. As you can see, it's very nice and mellow bends. So the original is bent like a couple of times. This goes just straight back for maximum flow. And I have a 100 cells race cat. And a flex pipe, as it should be. And then it goes down to 2.5 inch, and also a V-band clamp to connect to the cat back. So now it's just to remove it, nice and soft and not bend anything. You can see I reused the hanger from the old downpipe and also the bracket in the front. So before we take it down, there's just one last piece to do, and that's measure out for the lambda plug that's going right there. So I'm gonna wrap the downpipe with this titanium exhaust wrap. So I have measured out, so I get a nice wrap and then the lambda. I think this would be pretty nice. So here it is, all in one piece, safe. So now it's just start weld. switch the fuel pressure regulator and the injectors for bigger ones. So I have just removed the fuel rail. It's still connected to the car. Just lift it up. Here you have a T25 Torx that holds the regulator in place. Anybody want to taste? Just make sure that the connection is facing the same way it was before. Then it's time for the injectors, and they just sit with a little clip. So disassemble the little clip, and it's just to wiggle it out. So here is the new injector. As you can see, it's a little bit longer, or exactly 10 millimeters longer. So we are going to need a distance for the fuel rail, so the injector sits at the right height. So now we just use a little bit of assembly lube on the O-rings. So nothing gets damaged and they seal like they should. As I said earlier, these injectors are longer, so you're gonna need a distance. This distance is a M8 bolt with a washer glued together. This is 10 millimeters in height. So I'm just using some Loctite super glue. Works perfect. It's not like it's gonna hold up the car or something. It's just gonna be there like it for a distance. So this makes the mounting process a hell of a lot easier. Okay, so fingers crossed this will work. Ignition, and check if it's the correct software. is correct. JK design, GDM stage 4. Perfect. So now it's just to put the cover on the battery and mount the ECU correctly. The downpipe is mounted, everything is back in place. So now I'm going to just start the car and let it idle for a bit to check for leaks, and then possibly it will be a test drive. that's all for this video. If you like what you see, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the video for more epic car videos in the future. And I will see you very soon again. Stay tuned for more.